welcome to my channel. My name is Joanne Gates. Some call me JoJo. I want to share with you the day that kind of shook me, that changed my life. It was March 24th, 2009. That's the day that I had a heart attack at 43. Yup, 43 years old. Now, before my heart attack, about 3 to 4 days prior to, I had a physical. Doctor gave me a clean bill of health. Cholesterol was low. He even complimented me on how low my cholesterol was. I was losing weight, was on Weight Watchers, counting those points, I got under that 200-pound mark, so I was happy about that. I was feeling good. So about a day before my heart attack, my coworker, she asked me if I felt okay. And I was like, yeah, why? She said, well, your coloring looks off. And I'm like, what? She said, yeah, your coloring looks off, Joanne. I'm like, my coloring? Okay. Didn't really make sense to me, but okay. But then the day of my heart attack, I had some Mexican food for lunch at work, but my upper back was killing me. It was just killing me. And I was feeling a little nauseous at my stomach. I felt a little nauseated. And so I was just like, man, that Mexican food didn't agree with me. And so my daughter came to my job and she's telling me about some issues they having with these new girls on her lacrosse team, and the coach is not hearing her. And she never complained about anything, and she was the captain of the team. And so I could tell she was upset. So I was like, okay. She'd been complaining about it for a while. So I said, I'm going to go to the game, talk to the coach. So my husband, he comes to the game too. And right before the game was over, my husband had to leave, pick up a son from school. So I go to the field when the game's over. I'm going to talk to the coach. And I'm noticing while I'm talking to her, I feel this strong sensation, this pulsating sensation in my neck. It was kind of like boom, boom, boom. And I started grabbing my neck and I'm like, oh. And I noticed this pain in my right arm, and then it felt like it was traveling across my chest. So I told the coach, I can't talk to you anymore. So I walk away and this pain is getting intense. And I noticed my left arm. Now my left arm started feeling really heavy. And I leaned against this gate. And for a moment, I thought, could this be a heart attack? But then I dismissed it right away because I just had a physical. I don't drink, don't smoke, never have. Nah, it can't be. Must be Mexican food. But while I'm leaning against the gate at my daughter's school, this pressure, this pain was in my chest. And it felt like 10 elephants was standing on my chest. And my daughter sees me. And the only thing I can get out is call 911. And I go to reach to give her my cell phone. And she took off running towards the field where all the parents were. Now, I did something a little crazy. I wanted to lay down. So I made it to my car, but then I realized she didn't know where I was parked. So at least I had the sense to press the panic button on my car remote. And that's where I'm laying in my car, and this pain was so intense, but something kept telling me, don't close my eyes. I don't know what that was about, but I know this pain, and I could feel the tears running down my face. And I hear all these parents running, and thank goodness that her school was literally around the corner from our fire station. So paramedics got there right away, and they got my blouse up, and they're asking my daughter, how old is she? And she's like, 40. And she couldn't remember, poor thing. She's upset. And I'm like, 43. And they're asking, how much does she weigh? And my daughter said like 2. And honey, I was like, 199.4. And give me my props. I was happy I was under that 200. And then I'm thinking they have my blouse open. Everybody's around my car. And I'm thinking, now what kind of bra do I have on? Because when you're little and your grandmama and your mother tell you make sure you leave your house with some nice underwear on. That's all I thought about. Well, what bra did I have on? And I was like, okay, the nice purple one. I'm good. So the paramedics gave me some nitroglycerin tablets, and instantly that pain started subsiding. At first it was at a 12, and then it quickly went down to 8 or 5, and I felt great. So they took me to the hospital. My husband gets a call saying I'm being rushed to the hospital. And he's like, what? So, of course, when he left, I was going to get a coach piece of my mind and talk to her. So he's like, did she just get her butt beat by the lacrosse coach with some? So we get to the hospital, and my husband finally makes it there, and he said the whole lacrosse team sitting there, and they finally get him to the back where I was, and they started doing tests and everything, and he's like, what's going on? And I'm telling him, I don't know, all this for some gas or something. It's, Mexican food didn't agree with me. But they kept telling me that something didn't look right and that I probably was going to have to stay overnight. And I was upset about that. But I told my husband, my daughter, and everyone else to go head home, and I'll see him in the morning. So I'm there. It's, late night, early morning. And when the nurse were changing shifts. Changing shifts. And, the one nurse is giving the other nurse the update on me. I'm the only one in this room. And she said, Gates in bed A, her enzyme levels are crucial or critical. I couldn't remember. And it's an apparent myocardial infraction. And I'm like, Gates, bed A, myocardial infraction. So I break out my cell phone and I Google what she said. And what do you think came up? Heart attack. And I'm like, nurse, who had a heart attack? Who had a heart attack? Because I did not think that. Now, at the school when I couldn't lift my left arm, for a moment I thought that, but then I'm like, no, that couldn't possibly be it. I just had a physical. I don't drink, I don't smoke. No. So when that came up on my cell phone, I started yelling, they come in there and they give me something to calm me down, and I get my cell phone and I'm crying. I call my husband. He comes right back to the hospital. He stays with me. And that next morning, the doctor confirmed that I had a heart attack. That kind of shook me. That shook me, you guys, because I was like, how could I have a heart attack? I don't drink. I don't smoke. Just had a physical, low cholesterol, no family history of heart issues. How could I have a heart attack? 43. Had a heart attack at 43? It just wasn't making sense. So when I said that to the doctor, I was like, how could this be? My husband, he's the one that smokes, drinks occasionally, high cholesterol, 10 years older. How could I have a heart attack? And you know what that doctor said to me? He said, well, thank God you don't do those things because it could have killed you. Man, that shook me. So then they had to do an angiogram. And the doctor's telling me, okay, if we find any blockage, we're probably going to have to put a stent in. If we find this, we might have to do open heart surgery. So he's telling me all the things that could possibly happen when they do the angiogram. So they take me back. They do the angiogram, and I'm out of it, but I'm not asleep. So I got to see on the screen them moving my heart around, and I see the arteries, and I kind of like looking at things like that. So I was like, how cool is that? And he's like, you're awake? So anyway, once that was done, he told me, hey, you remember what I told you? The things that we could possibly find and what could possibly happen? And I said, yeah. He said, well, you're lucky because you don't have any damage to your heart, no blockage. So in my mind, I'm like, so I didn't have a heart attack. He's like, how many times do I have to tell you you had a heart attack? So when I tell you that shook me, because it just didn't make sense to me. Here I am, always watching my weight, always measuring the fat intake, working out, and I had a heart attack. Never drink, never smoke. So from that moment, probably for a year or so after that, I was just like, screw it. I'm going to eat. I'm going to do whatever I want to because you're going to die anyway. That's the way I felt for a minute. And I was so scared, you guys. So afraid. Because I was afraid to sleep. I didn't know if I was going to wake up. Every pain that I felt, I was like, could this be another one? I went to emergency a couple of times after that, thinking I was having another heart attack. It was rough. It was rough. But then I finally start counting my blessings because I'm like, it's a lot of people who go through this and just don't make it. And the doctor did say one thing to me that I want to share with you guys when I was in the hospital. He said, thank goodness I paid attention to my body. I knew that it was something I never felt before, and I went and sought help immediately. So I want to share that with you ladies, because it's so many women that feel some type of discomfort, feel some type of pain, and they don't say anything. Because why? We don't want to never be a burden. We don't want to bother anybody. But it's so many women who feels that pain, and they'll go lay down and they just don't wake up. So what I want to say is, any type of discomfort, pain that you've been feeling, or you feel and you're ignoring it, go get help, because you may not wake up. So let's put ourselves first, ladies. Let's get the help that we need. And here it is, 11 years later, and I'm still here. I'm so blessed. And also, I forgot to mention, I talked about all the great friends and family that I have and all the amazing women in my life. I tell you, when word got out to my friends and my family, they were at that hospital so fast, so fast. And I remember the nurse said to me, man, you must be really loved, because you had so many calls and so many people visiting you. And it just makes me feel good, because sometimes you think about who's going to be there for you in the midst of a crisis. I know who's going to be there for me. So I'm finally at a place at 55 to live my best life over 50. Hopefully over 60, 70, 80, 90 if God's willing. I want to live my life with no regrets, no what ifs. What if I would have? Maybe I should have. I just want to live my best life. So come along with me on this ride and take this journey. Let's just do this thing together. So I'll see you next time. Same place, same time.